everyone, look at this wonderful top I've made. It's fairly simple to crochet, but there are certain tricky parts that I will explain you step by step. We will start with the back. It's the easiest part. You begin from the bottom up and crochet up to this point where the shoulder slope and neck edging start. And notice the shape, it's not just a rectangle, it anatomically follows the shoulder line. Then we will crochet the front, two front panels. Each panel is half the width of the back. We will crochet upward and gradually shape the V-neck, which is simple, and the shoulder slope area is a bit trickier, but I will explain you that thoroughly. The front panel will be slightly taller than the back, so the seam will be at the back, ensuring it fits well. Next step is crocheting the button band. I will show you how to make buttonholes correctly, and the final step is the easiest, edging the entire piece. I've chosen a simple shell stitch, 6 double crochet stitches in one. I didn't count the stitches on the sleeves, neckline or bottom. I just edged it with scallops. It looks attractive here. It even looks like short sleeves. You can choose any edging pattern you like, but I chose the simplest one. I also picked the vintage buttons. I love vintage, and this top feels both vintage and modern. I will use a beautiful red-orange yarn, and for the size small, you will need about 4 skeins. You can use any cotton yarn for this project. And for the main piece, I used a size 3 hook, but for the edging and the button band, I used a 2.5. The edging will be tighter and won't fray, helping the piece hold its shape. And the item will look much better if you do it this way. As you can see, for this top pattern, I chose a mesh, but I added puff stitches arranged in a checkerboard pattern. I think it adds a certain charm to the piece and it reminds me of berries. So for the first row, you make a chain and the number of chains must be divisible by 4. I will explain you later how to count the number of chains you will need. Then you begin crocheting the mesh as the first row. Each arch consists of 5 chain loop and it will be attached to the 4th chain of the foundation. Then you make another chain of 5 and attach it again at the 4th. This first row is the hardest because you have to be very careful to attach to every 4th chain. But from the second row on, it's very easy. You just make a 5 chain loop and attach it with a single crochet in the middle of the chain loop from the previous row. That's all. One side of the piece will always end with a double crochet. On the opposite side, the row ends with a chain of 5. Starting from the 3rd row, it also begins with a 5 chain loop, then connect with a single crochet into the center of the loop from previous row. You chain 2, and between these 2 neighboring mesh loops, you will make a puff stitch right in between. Then chain 2 and attach again with a single crochet to the nearest chain loop and keep crocheting the mesh. Crochet 3 mesh loops and then make another puff stitch, then again 3 mesh loops and a puff stitch, and so on. Then next 3 rows are just a mesh, just a plain mesh, and in the 4th row we start adding puff stitches again, but in a checkerboard pattern. I will show you that step by step when we crochet it. Now let's figure out how to calculate the stitch count for your size. Since this is a top, we will focus on the bust circumference. Measure your bust at the most prominent part, whether you do it in inches or centimeters. Ideally, measure it over the bra since the piece is semi-transparent. I measured my bust over my usual bra, and in my case, my bust is 86 centimeters or 34 inches. Write down this measurement and add a certain number of centimeters or inches for ease. I will add 2 inches for ease, about 5 centimeters. This makes the garment more comfortable, and I like a slight oversized fit, so I add 2 inches. You can add 1 inch or a couple of centimeters. That's the first step, and write this down. Then it's ideal to crochet a small swatch to see how your top will look. Many skip this step, but trust me, if you crochet it once, keep it in a box, you could use it for next time, especially if you determine different sizes. I crocheted a gauge and I made it with a stitch count divisible by 4. For convenience, I made 40 chain stitches and crocheted a small piece. Then I washed it, dried it, and steamed. Well, at least you have to steam it. It will give you an idea of the final look. Then measure it. For me, the width is 15 centimeters or 6 inches. Write this down. Then take your bust measurement with ease. In my case, 34 inches plus 2 inches makes 36, but that is circumference. We will crochet the back and front separately, so divide it in half. Mine is 18 inches. Then set it up as proportion. 6 inches equals 40 stitches and 18 inches is unknown. Cross multiply 18 inches times 40 stitches divided by 6. I got 120 stitches. That is what I will crochet for the back. Same with centimeters. 92 centimeters, which is by circumference with ease, I divide by 2 and get 46 centimeters. Make a proportion. 15 centimeters equals 40 stitches. It's the gauge. And 46 centimeters is unknown. After making a proportion, 46 centimeters multiplied by 40 and divided by 15, you get 122. But 122 does not divide by 4 evenly, so I adjust this number to either 130 or 124 stitches. Okay, let's look at another example. Say your bust is 41 inches, that is about 104 centimeters. Add 2 inches for ease, or 5 centimeters. You get 43 inches and divide it by 2. That is 21.5. Multiply 21.5 by 40 and divide it by 6. Adjust that number to 1 which divides evenly by 4. You can do the same in centimeters. I recommend not relying on my swatch because everyone crochets differently and you may have a different yarn. I think I crochet very tightly, so crochet your own swatch and use that to determine your size. Next, I made the top 19 inches height, which came out to about 48 centimeters. At 8.5 inches of height, which is 23 centimeters, I mark the spot with a marker where I will create the armhole area. When calculating the armhole depth, simply measure your arm at the widest part. Divide that number by 2 and then add a few centimeters so that the armhole in your garment isn't too tight. That's it. As for the front panel, its width will be slightly narrower than half the width of the back. So look, in my case, the back is 18 inches width or 46 centimeters. I divided by 2, which is 23 centimeters. And from this 23 centimeters, I subtract 1 centimeter to allocate for the button band. And the rest, 22 centimeters or 8.5 inches, goes to the main piece. Overall, I've drawn out the top's measurements that I made, and you can use that as a reference. I detailed everything for a size small. In order to start crocheting the back, as I mentioned, you need to make 120 stitches and then add one more. So you will have 121 stitches in total. Always for any number of starting stitches, add 1 to begin the first row. This is done to align the pattern. Then make 5 more chain stitches and connect it into the 8th chain from the hook. So you count 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And connect with a single crochet. Then again, make chain of 5 and connect it into the fourth chain of the foundation. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Continue doing this until the end of the row. So you make chain of 5 and connect it into the fourth. At the end of the row, if you've done everything correctly, you should have 2 chain stitches left. In this case, you make only 3 chains, and in the very last chain you make 1 double crochet. So make chain of 3 and connect to the last chain with a double crochet. This is what you're going to have. Now make chain of 5 and turn your work. Continue making a mesh pattern across the row, connecting with a single crochet right into the middle of the previous chain loop, like so. Connect under the chain. It's not necessary to connect directly into the stitch. You can simply go under the chain, and it's really not critical. So in this way, you keep crocheting the second row with chain 5 loop across, and your pattern should look like this. Then let's meet at the end of the row. At the end of the row, I made the final chain of 5 stitches, and I'm connecting right here in the last chain 5 loop with a single crochet. Will be the last one in this row. On this side, we only make a chain of 5 at the end, while here on the other side, we connect with a double crochet always. Now chain 5 and turn your work. Connect with a single crochet into the very first chain 5 loop, right here. And now the puff pattern begins. Make 2 chain stitches, and right here between these 2 chain 5 loops, make a puff stitch right in this single crochet. In order to make a puff stitch, yarn over, insert your hook into the single crochet, pull up a loop, and pull it up a little taller than a normal. It should be the height of a double crochet. Yarn over again and hold the yarn on hook with index finger. Insert your hook into the same stitch again, yarn over and pull up another loop. Keep anchoring the yarn on hook and repeat this one more time. You can do it 3 times or 4 times. I'm going to do it 4 times. And now yarn over and pull through all loops on the hook. Then chain 1 to close the puff stitch. So we've got a puff stitch, very beautiful one. Now make 2 chain stitches and connect here into the nearest chain with a single crochet. Like that. Now make the mesh 3 times. The first time, the second time, and the third time. What do we have now in this row? We have the first chain, then a puff stitch, then 1, 2, and 3 mesh loops, and here again between these 2 chain loops, make a puff stitch. Again, make 2 chain stitches, then make a puff stitch right in the single crochet between 2 chain 5 loops. The key to a successful puff stitch is when you hold it with your finger, with your index finger, like this. That way the puff stitch turns out very neat and even. Again, make 2 chain stitches and connect with a single crochet to the nearest chain 5 loop. This is what you should end up with. Let me show you again. Make 3 chain 5 loops, so I made chain 5 loops 3 times, and now a puff stitch between the 2 mesh. Make 2 chain stitches, yarn over, and make a puff stitch right here connecting with a single crochet. Make 2 chain stitches and connect with a single crochet. That's it. Now finish the row in this manner, and at the end of the row we will meet again. I will show you how to finish this row. I'm finishing a puff stitch at the end of the row, connecting with a single crochet. Now, to even out the row, make 3 chain stitches and into the first chain and into the first chain at the edge, right here, make a double crochet. If you repeat all these steps, the edge of your beads will remain even and you will not lose stitches and or add any extra chain 5 loops. Now for the next row, chain 5, turn your work, and here connect right on top of the puff stitch with a single crochet. Just like that. And now for the next 3 rows, simply work chain 5 loops all the way across without adding any puff stitches. So this is how it should look. You have 3 rows done. Now in the row number 7, we will add the puff stitch in a checkerboard pattern. To do that, begin the row the same way with 5 chain stitches and turn your piece. It's easy to find the checkerboard pattern. It will be right in the middle between 2 puff stitches. If you stretch out the piece, you can even visually identify where the next puff stitch will be placed. So first do chain 5 loops 3 times, the first loop, then the second loop, then the third, and then make a puff stitch. It will be right in the center between puffs from the third row. In the same way, make 2 chain stitches and then create your puff stitch. That is how it turns out. Now again, you crochet the first chain loop, then the second, the third, and right here you make a next puff stitch. So you will always do 3 mesh and then a puff stitch, then 3 mesh and a puff stitch. This is how you make the row number 7. In this way, a checkerboard pattern will form. I've crocheted 4 more rows, and now it's clearly visible how the rows look. Essentially, the third row and the seventh row alternate in a checkerboard pattern. And in between them, you have 3 rows of plain mesh. The puff stitches actually remind me of a lattice. They give that feel and create a soft lattice-like look. Continue working like this until you reach the 34th row, and we will meet there. Well, this is how your piece will look once you have completed 34 rows. At the 34th row, mark the spot where your armhole area begins. You can choose whatever length you like, or even for convenience, just grab one of your favorite tops, the length you are happy with, and simply use that as your reference. Especially at the armhole height you like. Use that as your guide if you don't want to calculate it. If you are following my instructions, then mark the 34th row and from there crochet 31 more rows continuing the same pattern. And this is about how it should look. My armhole height ended up at 8.5 inches or 22 centimeters. Next, you will want to find the center of the piece, either by using a measuring tape or by counting the number of chain of 5 loops and finding the middle point. In my case, I have 31 chain of 5 loops in a row. For me, it's 15 loops on one side, the 16th in the middle, and 15 on the other side. For the neckline, mark a width of 19 centimeters. Okay, let me shift that here. So you take your measuring tape, divide 19 centimeters by 2. That is 9.5 centimeters. You will have 9.5 centimeters on each side. Mark that with a stitch marker, or you can count. Ignoring this loop in the very middle with a yellow marker, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on top of the 6th loop, place a marker right in the middle. Do the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th loop, mark it. That gives you about 19 centimeters for the neckline, or roughly 7.5 inches. Now, for the neckline, the next step is we will do short rows to shape the shoulder. We will do one side together, and then you will crochet the other side on your own. Start shaping the shoulder from the outer edge, and immediately begin decreasing. Just make one slip stitch. One is enough. Now, for convenience, let's mark the very edge of this armhole because later, when you join the pieces, this marker will be useful for symmetry and in general, it will help you count the mesh loops. Now, we need to crochet 9 mesh loops up to this point, up to the neckline. In this row, I'm making a plain mesh row without adding any puff stitches according to the pattern. When you reach the end and make the last chain 5 loop right where the blue marker is, just chain 5 and join with a single crochet right where the blue marker is. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 in this row. Now chain 5, turn your work, and in the very first mesh loop, join with a single crochet. You will get this kind of small triangle shape. It looks like this. I think here we need the pattern. Yes, here we have the pattern puff stitch. So crocheting the neckline isn't too difficult. You just need to count the total number of stitches or mesh loops like in this pattern after finishing each row. But overall, the piece will look more organic on the body. So we've crocheted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And to make the eighth one, we do this, chain 2, so chain 2 and make a double crochet, just like that. Now we have a smooth incline, and in this second short row we have 8 mesh loops including this triangle. Start the next row, crochet 5 chains and turn your piece. Then simply crochet 7 mesh loops. So I've crocheted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and seventh one, and the seventh one you crochet right into the very last mesh loop, which has a triangle shape. You simply join with a single crochet. So that was the third row, and we have 7 mesh loops. You can see this small but noticeable incline forming. Now for the fourth row, chain 5, turn it again, and in the very first mesh loop, create that triangle shape mesh, like that. In this row, you will crochet 6 mesh loops. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and for the sixth one, you do the same, chain 2 and a double crochet. like so. Now to start the short row number 5, as usual, make 5 chains, turn your work and join with a single crochet into the loop, and here you will make 5 mesh loops. At the end of the row, do the same, chain 5 and join with a single crochet into the last mesh, and this is about how it should look. Finally, let's make the last short row where you will end up with 4 mesh loops, and according to the pattern, make a puff stitch in this row. Same, shape a small triangle joining into the very first mesh and make 4 mesh in total. You can skip the puff stitch if it's hard to count. It's not critical at the edge. But if you will make a puff stitch, your piece will look more beautiful, I think. I made 1, 2, 3, and to crochet the fourth, make only 4 stitches instead of 5 and join with a slip stitch. That's it. Now you have a sloped shoulder. The shoulder height is 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Now repeat all steps for the second sloped shoulder, starting from the outer edge. The beginning of the panel is crocheted very simply. You start with 56 chain stitches plus 1 stitch, 57 stitches in total, and you crochet in the same pattern. Make 34 rows. The armhole height should match with the armhole height of the back. Then you continue crocheting, adding 7 more rows until you reach the point where we begin the shaping V neckline. So will be the 42nd row. To begin this row, you crochet a mesh toward the neckline, and on the neckline side there will be a decrease. Decreases occur every fourth row, so every fourth rows you will be making 1 decrease. Work a regular mesh as usual. On this side there will be no decreases, but on this side there will be a gradual decrease, only on the one side. So work a regular mesh as usual. When you reach the end of the row, just make 3 chain stitches and a double crochet. That's it. From this point, the decrease begins. You can even mark it with a stitch marker. This is for your convenience when you later do the button band. Basically, this side will have the button band. Now, let's count this number of chain 5 mesh loops. In total, I have 14. And for the next 3 rows, I will also have 14. In the previous rows, the number of this mesh spaces alternated 14, 15, 14, 15, but now it will be only 14. So now, as usual, work the next row making a mesh pattern according to the pattern. And here at the neckline, I would have a puff stitch, but I'm going to skip it. I'm not going to do it because it's the edge of the piece and it won't be noticeable anyway. Work mesh across, and in total there will be 14 mesh loops. And then let's meet at the end of the row. At the end of the row where the armhole area is, chain 3 and 1 double crochet into the first stitch at the very edge. From this side you will always finish row this way. Now for the 44th row, chain 5, turn your work and crochet toward the neckline as usual, 14 mesh loops. And then let's meet at the end of the row. Again, you need to have 14 mesh loops. I just crocheted only 13, and for the last mesh loop I crocheted 3 chain stitches and a double crochet to go up to the next row, and in total I will have 14 mesh loops. Now we need to do one more row with 14 mesh loops. Chain 5, turn your work, and just connect it right here to the nearest chain 5 loop. Now work according to the pattern across, and here at the armhole area finish the row with chain 3 and a double crochet. Then make one more row crocheting toward the neckline, and let's meet here. There will be a decrease. So I've crocheted 12 mesh loops so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now I crochet the last, the 13th, and that will be a decrease. Just the same, finish with 3 chain stitches and 1 double crochet to go up. Now again, for the next 3 rows you have to crochet 13. Again the same, chain 5, turn your work. Here you will have a pattern, so here I will have a puff stitch and I will not skip it. I'll show you. Like this, and continue according to the pattern. So you should also have 13 mesh spaces, and at the end of the row again crochet without changes to keep this side straight, and then go back toward the neckline, and let's meet here again. So I've reached the end of this row and I have 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and you would think I need to go up here, but no, I need to crochet the 13th because we only decrease every 4th row. And just the same, finish with 3 chain stitches and a double crochet, hooking into the very edge. Now you need to crochet one more row with 13 mesh loops, okay? One more row of 13. And then the next row will be another decrease. Crochet on your own up to here where we are going to meet again. So I've reached the end of this row and should end up with 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, and the 12th. As usual, make by doing 3 chain stitches and a double crochet. It forms this kind of little step, as you can see. And now you will need to crochet the next 3 rows where there will be 12 mesh loops, only 3 rows. So as we crochet, you will see it looks like a staircase. It will look that way. And it's going to be a very gradual decrease because we need to reduce quite a bit. If we decrease sharply, we will get a very wide neckline. So you will crochet the next 3 rows on your own, and you should have 12 mesh spaces in each. So look, I've crocheted 4 more rows where I have 12 chain 5 mesh loops. 1, 2, 3, 4 rows with 12 chain of 5 loops. Now, the next row I will crochet toward the neckline only up to this point, and I will finish it with 3 chains and 1 double crochet. So I will end up with 11 mesh loops, and the next 3 rows I will also crochet with 11 mesh loops in each row. This is how you continue decreasing until you have 9 mesh loops in a row, until you crochet 4 rows with 9 mesh loops in each row. So here what we have got, I started with 14 and ended up with 9. Here I have 9 mesh loops, and I crocheted a full 4 rows of 9. Basically, I made the first decrease and crocheted 3 more rows with 9 mesh loops. Now we move on to the trickiest part, this triangle, sloped shoulder triangle. On the armhole side, we will have decreases, and here at the neckline, we will keep the edge straight, and I will go continuously step by step. In order to crochet a sloped shoulder, you need to follow this sequence. In all rows where the number of mesh loops is odd, like 9, 7, and 5, you repeat these rows twice. In all rows where the number of mesh loops is even, such as 8, 6, and 4, you crochet these rows only once. To keep a track, I placed a marker and started crocheting the first short row. It is simple, you just do the same, crochet 9 mesh loops. I haven't finished the ninth one yet. It ends up with 3 chain stitches and a double crochet. You just have to count. You should have 9 mesh loops. Now, the second row, you start crocheting chain stitches as usual, and you will single crochet not into the nearest one, but into the very first. So on this side, we will have an increase, and here we will begin a decrease. This is the neckline, this is the armhole side. Now crochet right here, you will get a small triangle shaped loop and keep crocheting mesh, counting. You must have 9 in total again. If you have a puff stitch like mine at the very edge, skip it. It is not that crucial, but keep following the puff stitch pattern in the center. Here I ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the ninth I finished with 3 chain stitches and a double crochet. That's it. This second row is done. Now the third row starts exactly the same. So chain 5, and here you will have a decrease. In total, crochet 8 mesh loops. So it will look like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, ending here. Start just like usual in the next nearest mesh loop like this and finish at the last one. In total, you will have 8. This is how your row will look. You finish in that small triangle. Now in the next fourth row, you crochet 7 mesh loops. Start again with 5 chain stitches and crochet right into the very first mesh loop here. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the seventh one finished right here with 3 chain stitches and a double crochet.
here in the row number 5, you will also need to crochet 7. Begin with 5 chain stitches. Crochet the first mesh, the second mesh, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, and here the seventh. So I crocheted a total of 6 so far, and the seventh is done as 3 chain stitches and a double crochet like this. That completes the row number 5. Now we move on to the next row number 6, where we will have 6 mesh loops. So turn the piece and it will be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the last, the sixth one, crochet as 3 chain stitches and a double crochet. So it looks like this. Now you have a total of 6 mesh loops. Next, you need to crochet 2 rows with 5 mesh loops. Begin the row number 7 with 5 chains. As usual, turn your work and it will look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, ending here. In the next row, there will be a small triangle here. At the end, again, do 3 chain stitches and a double crochet. So I ended up with 5 here, and the next row number 8 also needs to be 5. Start with 5 chain stitches, turn the piece, and right into the very first one, connect it with a single crochet. That way you will have a small triangle again, and then you crochet 4 more. In total, that makes 5 mesh loops in the row number 8. At the end, finish the same way, 3 chain stitches and a double crochet. That's it. Now you have crocheted another row of 5 mesh loops. And finally the last row remains, and it will have 4 mesh loops. Begin by crocheting 5 chain stitches and crochet just 4 mesh. The first one, the second, the third, and the fourth right at the edge. You can simply do 5 chain stitches at the end. This is how you form the shoulder slope, and in total you've crocheted 9 short rows. In height, it also measures 2 inches or 5 centimeters. So if you will look here, from this point, it is 5 centimeters in height or 2 inches. The height of the shoulder should match the height of the back piece. Crochet the second panel the same way. They are identical, just follow all the previous steps. Next, you should iron or steam all pieces and then sew them together. In general, I recommend that when you finish a panel, leave a yarn tail longer and then use a needle to sew. Sew the shoulder section and the edges. That's it. The next step will be the button band, finishing that and sewing on the buttons. Well, I've sewn all the pieces together, and typically the left side is where the button band goes, where the buttonholes are. And the right side, is where you sew on the buttons. Now I'm going to adjust the camera so that you can see just this part, okay? I turn the piece inside out and will start crocheting from here from the bottom. In total, I will do 84 single crochet. The pattern is simple. When you reach a chain of 5 loop, you will do 3 single crochet in that mesh loop. Between these two loops, you will do just 1 single crochet. So it's 3 single crochet, then 1 single crochet, then 3, then 1, and so on until you have 84 stitches along the length. Join at the edge, begin with 1 turning chain, and crochet 3 single crochet into the 1 mesh loop. Then between these two loops, do 1 single crochet. That's it. Now again, 3 single crochet, work across until you reach the marker. In the second row, we will start making the buttonholes. I crocheted 1 in between them, then again I crochet 3. Just do a single crochet with a hook 1 size smaller. This is how it should look. Now continue crocheting to the end, working all the way to your marker. The first row is done. You can remove a marker. I ended up with 84 stitches total. Make 1 turning chain and turn your work. Now the buttonhole size depends on your button size. I will use the small buttons. You can choose whichever size you like. If you choose larger buttons, the hole will be 4 chain stitches. For smaller ones, it will be 3 chain stitches. I will use the small ones, so I will do 3 chain stitches. Now, take your markers. For this piece, about 5 buttons will be ideal. Just eyeball where you want the buttons, ideally one at the top and one at the bottom. But some people like it open at the bottom, so you can place them as you prefer. I will place one at the very bottom. Then mark the center of the piece, put a marker in the middle, and something like this. So I will place buttons approximately here, and that works for me. Now I'm going to attach them. Now you start crocheting the second row using a single crochet. Make sure to start in the very first stitch, not skipping any to get a clear square shape of the edge. I will make 2 single crochet until I reach the first marker. You can remove the marker, but it's good to keep it as a reference when you sew on buttons, but it's up to you. Right now you have to crochet tightly, making 3 chain stitches. Then skip 3 single crochet, and into the fourth stitch you make a single crochet. That creates a buttonhole. After that, you just work a single crochet, no increases, not skipping any stitch, nothing complicated, just keep it tight. Continue crocheting until you reach the next marker. Later, when you iron the piece, before wearing it, the button band will smooth out and stretch a bit, so don't worry if it feels tight right now. I've reached the next marker, and you can count your stitches for symmetry, but I am not counting. Again, chain 3 tightly, skip 3 single crochet, and do a single crochet in the fourth. That's it. Continue the row with buttonholes, and you can even check if your buttonhole fits through the hole to be sure. If it's too tight, make a 4-chain buttonhole and skip 4 stitches. Let me show you. My first button easily fits through the hole, so this size works for me. So finish crocheting to the end of the row. After a buttonhole at the bottom of the top, you must have a couple of single crochet. This is important to be sure the buttons sit comfortably. Now make a turning chain and turn the piece. Here you need to crochet 2 more rows of single crochet. Start again in the very first stitch. Now crochet around the buttonholes. Since I have 3 chain stitches, I will crochet 3 single crochet into that space. So I'm edging the buttonhole with 1, 2, and 3. That's it. Now you crochet along following the pattern, doing single crochet between the buttonholes and edging the buttonholes around. Continue edging this way until you reach the end of the row. Then do one more row of single crochet and that's it. You will finish that side. After that, you edge the other panel in the same way, but without buttonholes. Just crochet 84 single crochet along the edge. Do 3 more rows of 84 single crochet, and once you're done, you simply sew on 5 buttons, and that's all. Let me show you again. I reached the buttonhole area, and without skipping any single crochet, I get to the hole and edge it by making 3 single crochet. And right after that, I go straight into the next stitch, the very next one, without skipping any stitch at all. And in this way you will get a neat button band and beautiful edge for the piece. If you like, on the final row you can also add a picot, for instance, and if you prefer that. So that is how it will turn out. I hope that is clear to you. Alright, I crocheted the second button band and sewed the button right in the center, neither on the left nor the right edge, just in the middle. Make sure it aligns with the buttonhole so that when you button it, when you close your piece, everything sits nicely and neatly. The key rule is to sew it in the center. The next step is edging the piece. You're gonna edge the neckline, the sleeves, and the button edge. I will show you from the button edge, and please make sure, don't make my mistake, that you edge the piece from the right side. Edging the piece is quite simple. I'm gonna secure the yarn right here at the edge to start, and simply make a fan, or I like to call it shell stitch. Just choose a spot that is comfortable for you. I will attach it here, and in that same stitch I will crochet 6 double crochet. Then just attach it with a single crochet into any spot you like, the way you see it beautiful. Now again, yarn over. I strongly recommend not placing the shell stitch under the chain mesh loop. The shell stitch looks much nicer when all 6 double crochet come out of one single stitch. Okay, so don't crochet it into the mesh loop. Instead, find a stitch and work all 6 double crochet into that one stitch. You can choose any pattern you like, but I prefer shell stitch because you don't need to count stitches. You can attach it anywhere with a single crochet and it looks very beautiful. I like it. Or when you reach the end of the row, you can even adjust the spacing between shell stitches and it hides many little mistakes. And this is the kind of top you should end up with. I eventually decided to change the buttons. I wish you a great mood, experiment, have fun, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next videos where we will come up with something interesting and crochet together. Bye bye, everyone!